Hello, I'm Steve Agee from HBO Max's Peacemaker, and I am here to debunk some AI. All right, what role am I best known for? AI's answer is that I'm best known for the role of John Economos. I don't know if that's entirely true. It probably is by now, but it's really deadlocked between that and Outside Dave from New Girl. But I think we're probably pulling away with John Economos at this point. So it's probably pretty good. It's probably a pretty good answer. When did John Economos first appear in the DC universe? AI claims that John Economos first appeared in the film The Suicide Squad, 2021, directed by my friend James Gunn. And as far as I know, that is true. But don't quote me. I have very limited comic book, movie, and physical paperback knowledge. But as far as I know, that is the first time. When did John Economos first appear in the comics? AI says Economos first appeared in DC Comics in Suicide Squad #1, 1987, published in May of 1987. I think that is correct. I said earlier I have no knowledge of the comic books, but I do know that John Ostrander created the Suicide Squad in the 80s. So he definitely created John Economos. I found out when I met the actual John Ostrander that he based him on a friend. So I believe that is also true. What is the main difference between the comic book character and the DC Universe character of John Economos? AI says he actively participates in missions, Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and he shows combat courage. For example, he killed a gorilla with a chainsaw. That's pretty spot on. The John Economos in the comic books, he was actually the warden at Belle Reve prison. And so most of the stuff that I've seen of him in the comic books takes place in the prison. And really not a ton is known about him other than he's got a lot of ex-wives, which I thought was really funny. I will also say that Economos in the original comic books has a much better authentic looking beard than Peacemaker's dye beard. But yeah, I would say this is probably a correct answer. What is Economos's kill count? Wow. Something I've never even thought about. And AI says John Economos has a confirmed kill count of 25. Oh my God. Making him the 5th highest killer among the main members of Peacemaker's 11th Street Kids. I have to say that's probably true. I've never counted. I didn't know I even had a kill count. But yeah, other than the gorilla, kill a bunch of racists who are chasing Peacemaker trying to kill him, that's still probably not up to 25 yet. And then the finale of season 1, I put a bomb in a barn and kill a bunch of aliens. It's probably close. I'll give AI the benefit of the doubt on this one. I love that I have a kill count. It's probably pretty close to 25. What is his relationship with Peacemaker? AI says John Economos starts as the guy Peacemaker bullies, but ends up one of the few people Peacemaker actually respects and trusts, making their relationship one of the most human and earned in the DCU. I don't know about in the entire DCU, but in the world of the TV series Peacemaker, I would say that that is true. I was definitely bullied by John Cena, or John Economos was definitely bullied by Peacemaker. That's probably true. What can we expect from Peacemaker Season 2? Oh boy. AI, and I don't know how they would know this, says the plot will scale up, potentially involving global or even cosmic threats from classic DCU villains such as The Reach or Brainiac. I've never heard of the Reach. That's a crazy name for a character. Although a lot of these villains and superheroes have insane names. I don't know what I'm talking about. Polka Dot Man, that was based on an actual, DC character. So who might have judged the names of these people? Seeing as how I'm hearing about the Reacher Brainiac for the first time, I would say that aspect of this is false. But I would go the whole answer is probably 50-50. The plot definitely scales up on like a global, and I would maybe even say cosmic level. How will this impact Economos in Season 2? Well, AI says instead of just monitoring and hacking from a safe location, Economos will join missions using his tech know-how to disable alien tech, hack enemy systems, or deploy drones and gadgets during fights. I think there's some truth in this. I never do anything to do with drones. Gadgets, absolutely. I am more hands-on than hacking from a safe location. Aspects of this are true. Some of it is not, though. I can't give anything else away from Season 2. But yeah. What was the most challenging scene of Peacemaker to film for me, Steve Agee? AI seems to think Steve Agee performed the challenging stunt sequence himself during the jail fight scene featuring John Economos and Peacemaker Season 1. Fully false. I will use a stuntman any single chance I get. For example, the season finale of Season 1, Episode 8, I'm being chased across a field from a barn by like hundreds of aliens. You'll see shot from a drone at a high angle. You don't see my face, and that's because that's my stuntman. I had a stuntman run for me. No, and also I don't have a fight sequence in a jail. That would be Vigilante, as played by Freddie Stroma, and played very well. And I think Freddie actually did a lot of the fighting in that. So, sorry AI, you are incorrect.
What is the most physicality you did do with Season 1?
The most physically challenging thing that I had to do in Season 1 were the shots where you actually do see me running across that field. And not just because I'm running, which does suck. I'm a giant dude. That was a massive field. It was a paintball field. We were shooting on location at a paintball park. And so it was pretty high grass, and there's lots of holes and stuff. So a lot of obstacles to potentially hurt yourself. That was probably one of the more physically challenging things. Also because that whole episode was mostly shot at night. So I have trouble sleeping during the day, so I was running on fumes. How did he prepare for this more physical role? AI says Steve Agee took lessons in stage combat, which taught him how to make fight scenes believable. I didn't take any stage combat lessons because I wasn't combating anything. Like with the gorilla, there was no gorilla there. That's all CG. There was a giant wooden board with a vertical crack in it for me to put the chainsaw through and move it up and down, and then it had a hose that was spraying me with blood. But you can't really train somebody for that. You either have it or you don't. Which scene in Peacemaker is Steve Agee most proud of? AI claims that he's most proud of the gorilla killing scene in Peacemaker Season 1. This intense and unexpected moment gave him the chance to bring a surprising mix of dark humor and action to John Economos' character. While I do love that, it's one of my highlights, not only from Season 1, but the whole show combined. I'm probably most proud of my monologue, the season finale of Season 1, where I have to justify why I dye my beard. I'm not exactly known for easily memorizing lines, so I'm pretty proud of that. And it wasn't like a comical monologue, so that's what I'm most proud of. What is the best piece of advice James Gunn gave to Steve Agee? Answer from AI: just learn the lines and say them normal. That's a specific reference to my monologue with the beard. I had asked James the Friday before we shot that, because I was going to learn the lines over the weekend, if it was more comical, if it was emotional. And James said, just learn the lines. You don't have to learn, you don't have to put an emotional spin on it or anything. Just learn the lines and I will give you directions. That was for that specific scene, but it also tends to be true for really everything moving forth from that point. Was just learn the lines. The rest comes to you. When you have a great director, the hardest part is learning the lines. The director really guides you through the rest. What is John Cena like to work with on set? AI says, working with Cena means sharing the stage with a surprisingly versatile, improv-savvy performer who's also incredibly dedicated. I mean, that's true. It's John Cena. I mean, you couldn't ask to work with somebody more professional and giving and sharing in scenes. John shows up. He's always the first one to show up. He's always prepared. Always. I don't think I've ever seen him forget a line. Super kind when it comes to work and also just in life in general. John's great. It's great working with him. So I would say that's true. What's Steve Agee's favorite role outside of Peacemaker? AI says that I shared that one of my favorite roles outside of Peacemaker was performing as King Shark in The Suicide Squad. That's up there. It's partially true. I've been really lucky. I have Economos is my favorite part, period. After that, it's like a 3 or 4 way tie between King Shark, which was amazing, Outside Dave from New Girl, Isaac from Superstore, and the character of Steve from my first TV acting gig, which was the Sarah Silverman program. It's a hard one to call, but it's a pretty good guesstimate, AI. Tell me a little known fact about Steve Agee. That's me. AI says Agee lived for 4 years in comedian Ken Marino's basement when he struggled with noisy living conditions in North Hollywood. Partially true. I would say I lived in Ken's basement, which that makes it sound so like Blumhouse, but this was like an apartment. He had like a big house and the bottom was its own ensuite, if you would. And I lived there for about 2 years. I was really trying to get out of a noisy apartment building that I had been living in. But that was in Studio City. That was not in North Hollywood. So you've got a partial truth there. What was Steve's first acting role? AI says Steve Agee's first on-screen acting role was in the 2000 comedy TV movie, The Bogus Witch Project, which was a compilation of Blair Witch parodies. I think my first acting gig, though, was a Pacific Bell telephone commercial for call waiting. Pacific Bell is now, for you kids, AT&T. I think that might have edged out The Bogus Witch Project, but pretty close. Maybe true. How does Steve Agee prepare for an audition? AI's answer is Steve Agee insists on eating exactly 3 gummy bears before every audition. Okay, I hate gummy bears, so this is just overwhelmingly false. I don't insist on anything. Also, says before an audition. Now at this point in my life, goes back to James Gunn and just memorizing the lines. I know you wouldn't know to look at me, but I'm not a big sugar person. I'm a big carb person. I like pastas and breads and stuff, but I don't like candies. Give me some pasta or a chicken parm sandwich any day of the week. Does Steve Agee have any secret talents? AI thinks so. In fact, AI says he's an avid music lover and former bass guitarist who still jams but often leaves his tracks unfinished. His apartment is reportedly full of half-recorded songs about bizarre topics. Okay, that's not really true. I'm still a bass player. I'm not a former. I will always know how to play the bass, so I am a current bass player as well. Also, it doesn't make sense the apartment being full of half-recorded songs. My computer is full of half-recorded songs. But yeah, I still make music. I have an album out on most music platforms called Scab, which I am very proud of. And I will probably make more in the future when I have time. I always have time. I would say, though, my secret talent / hobby is photography. But it's not a bad guess for AI. If you really want to know how I think AI performed in this, I'd say pretty good. I was expecting it to get a lot more wrong than it did. But it could have gotten a lot more right. All right. Well, thanks for watching, you guys. And speaking of watching, Peacemaker Season 2 comes out August 21st on HBO Max. It's massive. If you love the first season, you're going to really love the second season.